Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week I got to chat with Brent Pope. You've seen him on Silicon Valley, Better Things, and most recently as Valente on the revival of Roseanne. We chatted a bit about the comedy pedigree of the show, the political lightning rod that it is, and how much we'd like to see Valente in season 2. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, Les.
Hey, thanks so much for taking time to do the interview today, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And congrats on recently being on Roseanne. You've gotten to be on is it 2 episodes so far?
Just one so far. Now it's kind of up in the air as to whether my character might come back next season.
Yeah, because the show's been renewed. So let's hold on. Hope we get more Valente, right?
Yeah, let's hope more Valente, right? I think he's like the lonely guy that runs the grocery store. I mean, come on. There's plenty of single Connor ladies. Becky, Darlene, and Jackie.
Yeah, I saw you on social media. We gotta ship Valente with some folks. Come on.
Right. And that actually came from somebody else had talked about it, and I said, "Oh, do you mind if I run with that? Because that's great. That's amazing."
So let me ask, how did you originally get your start in acting? Like, when did you know that this was something you wanted to do more than just cracking up your friends?
I obviously, when I was a kid, I did plays, and the first play I was ever cast in, I was like 6 years old, and it was like at some weird church camp that my mom had me at, and I was cast in this play that they were doing at the church camp, and a couple days before the show, I just quit the show, and I didn't tell my mom, right? And so then she went to the play, and I wasn't in it, so that was pretty great. But I guess the first time I decided I really wanted to do it, I had a group of friends. I grew up in Nebraska, and I have a group of friends out here that are mostly still out here. And we wrote this this stage show called The Decepticons Present Their Farewell Show, which is it was a sketch show about a sketch group that had been around for a long time, except we hadn't. This is the only show we had ever written. So, and it was just a real dark comedy, and working with my friends and getting such a good response from people in the community, I thought, wow, maybe I could actually do this. Because, like you said, a lot of times you when you're starting out, you're like, yeah, I make my friends laugh, but how do you know that you can make people that are not your friends laugh? And that's the big step, I think.
Yeah, I think everybody who's tried stand-up has had a moment of going, oh man, that story killed, and it's not working here.
Right. First time I ever did stand-up, I think I was supposed to do 3 minutes at the Funny Bone in Omaha, Nebraska. And I think I did about 90 seconds and thought I would never do stand-up again. That was the worst thing that's ever happened in my life.
That just sounds like a brutal setup for a gig anyway. Like, you've got 3 minutes in Omaha, go.
Yeah, right. 3 minutes is like, and then the first joke doesn't land, you're like, oh, great, I only have 2 minutes left. And they already hate me. That's the difference between stand-up and, like, when you do improv is when you do stand-up, when you do improv, one of your partners can pick you up, turn something sad into something funny. And when you're doing stand-up, it's just, oh, they hate me personally. That's me that they hate. Great.
Yeah, it's like a card game, but you've gone blind with no partner. You're just,
right.
Oh, this isn't going to work. Shit.
Yeah, I didn't know my partner had no spades. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about getting the audition for Roseanne and what that was like?
Well, so for Roseanne, the casting director for Roseanne is Susie Ferris. And Susie Ferris is a great casting director. And it just so happened that, like, a few months before the Roseanne, they started doing the auditions, I had booked a part on Speechless, which is probably what, up until now, people would know me from the most. There was the episode of Speechless where I played baggage handler, where all the baggage handlers would play luggage golf.
Yes. Yes, I remember that episode.
And right. Okay. So we were playing luggage golf. I wasn't the star of the show, so I didn't win. Spoiler alert. But then Roseanne came around, and Susie and I I'd had several really good auditions with her, and I always feel really comfortable in the room in her auditions, and she happened to call me in, and I guess, sometimes when a casting director likes you, they'll try to use you over and over, and I'm in favor of that when it's me, so. But that, I wish it was a more exciting story. It's like Susie Ferris, I booked something else for her, and she called me in, and I was really, it was one of those things where I was really kind of desperate to book it because I was a huge fan of the original show. It's part of like our childhood and our teen years, and so not even thinking about what it could do for my career, I was just like, man, that would be so cool just to be on Roseanne.
Yeah, I think that's the first DVD set I'd ever seen somebody buy entirely. My parents own all of the original of Roseanne.
Oh, wow. Well, it's an intimidating set to walk onto. I mean, the people they're all lovely, but you walk on and then you see like, John Goodman, Sarah Gilbert, Roseanne, of course, Laurie Metcalf, and all of them have won some type of Emmy, whether it's a daytime or a primetime Emmy. John, and I think Laurie Metcalf, she almost won an Academy Award last year. And so with that comes a little bit of pressure too, where it's like, I guess I better really bring my A game today. I better do it because I know they're going to, and you don't want to get kind of left behind.
Were there any surprising moments working with that much talent?
What caught me off guard is we were getting ready to shoot our rehearsal, or the run-through the day before we do the live taping. We're getting ready to do that. And I had completely forgotten that Whitney Cummings was the co-showrunner. And so I'm standing there, and somebody's like, okay, they're actually getting ready to shoot a rehearsal. And so I'm focused on that. And then somebody taps me on the shoulder, and it was Whitney Cummings. And she said, hey, Brent Pope, so glad that you're here. And I was so shocked that I think I said like, Mama, yeah. And then I just turned back around. So I was like, this isn't going well. But yeah, because, Whitney Cummings, I mean, you have the whole Roseanne thing where you've got the people that have worked together. They've known each other for 20 years, right? If not more, because most of the cast came back, most of the crew came back. And then you add Whitney Cummings for like kind of a new perspective.
Yeah, that's a whole other comedy pedigree there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also at the another shocking thing is you have some of the writers walk up and I'm like, oh, there's Wanda Sykes. Okay, yeah. So and then I think I didn't see Norm Macdonald, but I know he wrote on some of the episodes also. So just like such huge names all around, and very privileged just to be a part of it.
I think everybody assumed that it would at least get watched like crazy the first episode just on nostalgia alone. Did you already know that it was going to be quite as much a political lightning rod as it ended up being?
Not really, because the episode I was in, there weren't any of the political aspects in it that I noticed. Now, I feel like most of it kind of got out in the first episode, and I really think it's, the cool thing about it is this is happening in everybody's house. When I go home, half my family's on one side, half of them's on the other side. And that's real.
Yeah.
There's no family where everybody voted one way or the other. And so I think it's cool that, like, just like the original Roseanne, they're taking on those kind of issues that a lot of shows are kind of afraid to take on. And, I just find that to be refreshing and something that's kind of needed right now, is actually having a discussion about things instead of everyone staying in their own little bubble and not wanting to hear what the other side says.
Whitney Cummings had said that they were trying to go where the family would actually be and not necessarily where it would be funny to be, which the show definitely started a conversation that needs to be going.
Yeah, and if you think back to a lot of the great comedies over time, they've had those kind of discussions, whether it's us just seeing that the main character is wrong, and that's kind of the discussion, or they're not on the right side. All in the Family, right? Archie Bunker was not politically correct at all, but it was also a brilliant show because they get to discuss those type of things. I
remember seeing the Sammy Davis Jr. episode when I was growing up, and it was just a bizarre episode to watch in the 90s. But
it was really weird.
You also do a podcast as well. I
do.
Raisin Brent podcast?
the Raisin Brent podcast.
So just, asking for a friend, any advice on doing a really great podcast?
You're assuming that I do a really good podcast? I have a partner, Ray, who I couldn't do the show without him, because I honestly, like, our roles on the show are, I'm a big Andy Kaufman fan, so you might get where this is going. Like, when we do our podcast, Ray's job is to keep the podcast on track, and my MO is just to, like, try to derail it as much as possible. So he has the much harder job. Plus, he has to edit the thing later. I don't know. I think, like, it's just doing it with someone that you have fun with, and just, it's almost like just having a conversation and then bringing in your friends that also make you laugh or make you think about things. What do you think about that?
I would agree. I would say the other great piece of advice anybody's ever given me was, if you say you're going to come out weekly, do it. Yeah.
You're always surprised at who actually is listening to your podcast. People will call you out and say, "Hey, what happened this week to the podcast?" Oh, yeah, okay, I'll get on that.
So you have also been on one of my absolute favorite shows, Silicon Valley, just recently.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that show.
You talk about a comedy pedigree on a set. How is it working there?
Oh man, well, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Freaks and Geeks, so anytime I'm around Martin Starr, I'm just like, that's one of the best days for me, because Martin Starr is just like, he's just so dry, and I just love his sense of humor, first of all. And I didn't actually do a scene with him, but I was lucky enough to go through hair and makeup at the same time, and I got to have a little conversation with him, so that made my day to start off with. But I did my scene with Zack Woods, who, before this, was, I guess, most known for playing Gabe on The Office, who dated Aaron. I don't know if you watched The Office, and then he's done other things since then. But he's like one of those. If you've ever seen him at UCB, he's just one of those brilliant improvisational minds. So, when you do a few takes, and all of a sudden the director says, "Okay, just try some stuff." The stuff that Zach's going to come up with is going to be gold, and you're just trying to, like, not break. Basically, that's you're just holding on and trying to not break, because Zach is amazing. I love that show. It's so well written. And then when I watch the show, you got Mike Judge, who did Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, and you watch the show and you can almost picture it being like a cartoon a little bit. Everyone's got a little bit of an exaggerated look on the show.
Of course, I just caught up, and so now I can't get Zach's lips out of my.
Oh my goodness! I just kept thinking that he looked exactly like the Octomom, Nadia Solomon. It's like,
oh my God!
Right?
Oh God! I brought her up to someone the other day, and I was the only person that remembered who she was in the room. And was like, I'm crazy. Tell me someone else knows who the Octomom is.
I was the only one. I don't know if you watched the show Atlanta, which I'm a big fan of. But do you watch Atlanta?
Yes. Yeah.
I've been sending people Teddy Perkins memes, and half of them are like, "What is this?" It's so bizarre. I love it.
Yes. You're like, "Oh, that's Lando, man. Come on."
We speaking of Mike Judge, King of the Hill, also one of my favorite shows. I love that, and I did Better Things last year with Pamela Adlon, who played Bobby Hill, and that was also just mind blowing. Like, I was total fanboy. Like, maybe the most starstruck I've been, just because Pamela Adlon, everything she does to me is just gold. And I love that she's finally, quote unquote, made it with her own show at in her 40s, so it blows me away.
Yeah. I'm glad she's getting to come into her own. That show's great. I know you've written some stuff as well. Common Beauties. We did Table for Two first, which was my co-star, Julie Addis, had recently worked at a Capitol Grill, which was this fancy restaurant at the Beverly Center. And she had all these stories about what would happen just working at the host stand at that restaurant. And so we kind of wrote a bunch of episodes about things that might happen at the host stand. And we stay at the host stand, so we don't know anything else is happening in the restaurant most of the time. And then Common Beauties was kind of a natural extension of that, where we talked, where we basically took characters that you might see in LA, but that you don't notice unless you're kind of
unless they mess up, like the ushers at the movie theater, weird people that are doing like hiking vlogs, meter maids. You never talk to the meter maids unless they're giving you a ticket, right? So, and we find so much humor in like the mundane. I think just the normal things that happen in life often are the funniest things, because you can't make up things that are funnier than what actually would happen in real life, in my opinion. Yeah, those are the two, and we're actually working on more Table for Two right now with Julia and our director, Jeff Lupino Esposito. So looking forward to that. I mean, I've been doing a lot of shows, which is great, but there's nothing like working on your own material that you wrote and the character that you created, and that's I think you need a good balance of both.
Well, yeah, I think it's the Gary Cole bit. I think it might be in your demo reel that I'd seen from that that cracked me up.
That was so great. Yeah, that's another funny thing about the Table for Two thing, and Julia in general, is like there's a pretty big like age gap between Julia and I. So for me to say that, if I said that to her in real life, she might really mix up Gary Cole and Gary Coleman, and just because of her age,
To me, the most true, funniest moment for me is when she says, well, what's he been in? And you go, everything. You know this guy. But then there's the pause, and then you've got to pull your phone out and flip real quick. Like, oh, but why? Why do you know him?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I got a new manager a couple of years ago, and I work with Centera Entertainment, and they're amazing. And they actually pinpointed that moment in that episode as to why they signed.
Oh, that's great.
Just that. Yeah. So apparently there's something good about it, because you picked it out too.
Well, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to talk to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. This is fun, man. We should do it again.
Yeah, for sure. With any luck, we'll get Valente into a killer on-screen relationship, and you got this massive arc through season 2.
Let's do it.
We'll get a spin-off out of this.
#Valente.
Yes. #Valente. Come on.
Can you imagine a sitcom called Valente? That sounds like, well, I don't want to say, it sounds like a really bad show.
Hey, man, 2020 is going to be crazy.
But it would be great.
The schedule's packed.
It just sounds like one of those shows that was a spin-off of like Maude.
Yes.
Or something like that. That was a spin-off back in the 70s. Valente.
Yes.
What? Valente? You remember he worked at the grocery store in Roseanne.
Yeah, he was the elevator operator for that other family that was across the street.
Oh, my God. Yes, let's do this.
Man, thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely. You too. Bye.
Bye.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.